Good afternoon, friends. When we consider the great voyagers, the great entrepreneurs, the great sailors of history, Sir Francis Drake, Captain Cook, Magellan, we can now safely say that Greta Thunberg is not amongst those names. She will never rank amongst their achievements. And this is off the back of a very, very pathetic little voyage that she had down the Mediterranean recently in order to, quote unquote, break the blockade that is obviously going on around Gaza with the Israeli defenses that are in place to, as the Israelis say, stop weapons getting into Gaza so that the Israelis can fight Hamas. Now, I'm not getting into the moral situation between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That's not what this video is about. What I am here to do is just laugh at the absolutely pathetic, childish ineptitude, the narcissism of Greta Thunberg. Now, obviously, all of us will remember very well that Greta Thunberg was once the absolute darling of the establishment. She is a creature of the establishment. Her fame and attention was entirely astroturfed. She was put on the front of every magazine across the West. She was giving speeches at the United Nations and Davos and all of these places. The elites couldn't wait to hear all about Greta. And now, obviously, because of her pro-Palestinian position, the elites have, of course, dropped her like a hot potato because, or I suppose a Swedish potato. And this is obviously because her particular ideas about Israeli foreign policy and the fate of Palestine don't align with those governments around the West. However, there was a ship that left the harbour of a Sicilian port on June the 1st, and this, a yacht that left the harbour, and on it were Greta and several other pro-Palestinian activists, and they decided that what they were going to do was sail down the Mediterranean, get past the Israeli blockade, and deliver not even substantial supplies, but symbolic aid to the Gazans, just some small bits of food and some tampons and other essential supplies. But the problem with this is obviously the fact that Greta Thunberg has grown up ever since she was a child, basically being told that she's some sort of pure, noble figure, right? That like there's something genuinely special about her, even though she was obviously a total puppet of the machine. She's grown up believing that she, out of sheer talent and heroism, is someone who can change the course of the future. And so when you get to a situation like what is now going on in Palestine, she comes at all of this with this absolute same childlike stupidity, right? She's not a serious person. And there's a picture of her here where she was finally intercepted by the IDF, by the Israeli Defense Force, and is being handed, obviously, sandwiches and drinks after her days out at sea. And you just see from this smile on her face, this is not the smile of a serious person. This is not the smile of someone who thinks that she is staring into the eyes of evil when these Israelis board her yacht. And it's the exact same dumb expression that she had when she used to be dragged away by the police at all of her climate protests, right? There are people out there who seriously believe in the plight of the Palestinian people. There are people out there who seriously believe in the existential threat that Hamas presents to Israel. Greta Thunberg is neither of those people. She is a narcissist, and she is someone who constantly seeks the attention of the papers, and the papers are more than happy to give it to her. And so I just also wanted to draw to this, just how unserious she is, because Well, I'll just play it.
Greta Thunberg, and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
She knows she's in no danger. She knows the Israelis aren't going to do anything nefarious to her. She knows that she'll simply be detained and deported, and yet she's sensationalizing it like she's some great hero who's fighting for the cause. And I suppose the only thing really was the question hanging over everyone's heads was, is Greta Thunberg going to get clockwork oranged by the Israeli state? As they force her to look at footage from the October 7th terror attacks. And it seems to be that Greta actually decided that she wasn't going to participate. She wasn't going to watch it. And so these deeply, deeply evil Israelis who are doing, obviously, very morally reprehensible things to secure Israel are so tyrannical that they said, watch this terror attack. And Greta said no. And they went, okay. So, but we're still obviously going to deport you. Detain, deport. And so she obviously comes back, and you can see here after a silly little message, this is just her just coming back, being sent back to Paris. And she's fine. Nothing happened. She grabbed the headlines for a week, and then she'll just carry on with all of the performative silliness that has basically just surrounded her for her entire life. And I suppose the point is that actually, in now being not a child anymore, but rather a young adult and someone that people do still, even if I think it's misplaced, people do pay attention to, it's really the childlike aspect to it that I want to focus on, right? There is no sense of urgency. There is no sense of stakes here to anything that she is doing. And she even had that Davos actor, is it Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones? He was the one rallying and trying to push media about this and was saying, look, these people, they're going to board this yacht, they're going to break the blockade. And he kind of gave the impression that he was going to be on the yacht too. And then when the IDF picked them up, he wasn't there, which actually rubbed some people up quite the wrong way. And so I just really think that the quicker that Greta's own fan base, like, you can be pro-Palestine, but if you are, just see through Greta's childish little crusades that she always sets herself up as, you know, this great child crusader, because ultimately there is nothing here of consequence. Everything that she does is pure slop, and when the history of the 21st century is written, she will have achieved absolutely nothing of consequence.